Okay, same idea as before. Essentially we're going to simplify, but we're going to factor first and then state restriction. Okay, we have what could be seen as almost like 4 terms in brackets here. And there's a multiplication sign here, which merely means I could have put this in brackets beside each other, these two, and the same with these two down here, right? I really didn't need to have it separated by this, but that's fine. What we're going to do is we're going to individually factor each of them. Okay, so we'll highlight each for a different color. We'll do this one in yellow, this one in green, this one in blue, and the other guy in purple there. Okay, that's kind of dark. Okay, so we're going to factor all 4 of these. Each of these can be seen as its own equation, and then when we factored each of them, we'll be able to state restrictions and simplify. So 3v. I don't know if we can see yellow. That's kind of hard to see. I'll do it in black and then highlight it in yellow. The other ones we can do different colors. So the first one, okay, just focusing on 3v minus 12. Well, there are no other variables. And the first step to all factoring is what? Do you remember what I said before? Start with C.
Common factors?
Common factor. Okay, so we're going to common factor first. What would be a common factor of both of these?
3.
Yeah. So we divide both by 3. And what's our next line going to read?
1, and we will cancel out. And there's just v left.
Okay, but what goes to the outside?
The 3 does.
Yeah, very important that we make sure it's on the outside. So then say what you had on the inside?
V.
Yeah.
Minus 4.
Yeah, that's right. That's it. So that's the very first one. Okay, so we did that kind of in yellow. So that's our first one. We got that. Next one we're going to do is the bottom in green. Okay, so we'll do that guy in green. He was v squared minus v minus 12. Can I common factor here?
Mm-hmm.
What can I common factor out?
Wait, no, you don't need to.
You're right, you don't need to. So then how would I factor this? Do you remember the rules?
You look for what can multiply with 12,
Mm-hmm.
and that can equal -1, basically.
Okay. Now, technically, if there had been a term here, I'd have to multiply that term by the 12, and that's what we'd multiply to. But since this is a 1, you're right. We multiply to 12, right? So 2 terms to multiply to 12, but add to -1, because that's our middle term, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what 2 terms multiply to 12 and add to -1? Oh, sorry, not just any 12, -12. Very important that we have that.
-4 and +3.
Great. So, now how do I break this up? What does it become?
It's going to be v minus 4.
For what?
For what?
Is there anything attached to the 4?
Negative 4?
Yeah.
No.
But it should still be a v.
V. Oh.
Yeah, v is very important. That's still in there.
You don't do that.
You do. Reason being is because this middle term, this is why I've drawn these arrows like that, is being split into -4v and +3v.
You just write it like that. You leave it like that. Like you don't put any variable beside it.
Oh, that is because, now, that's only when this term is 1. If this term is any other number, you have to go through this process I'm going to show you. So that's why we're going to go through this process, just so you know that, okay? So plus 3v minus 12, okay? And the reason we're going through this, like I said, is now what we do is we set these pairings and we try to common factor both of them. Okay, so the first one, what's a common factor of those two? Let's split it up. What's a common factor of v squared minus 4v?
V.
Yeah, that's right. So we take v out, and what were we left with?
4, -4.
V minus 4. And what would be a common factor of 3v minus 12?
3.
So we take out +3, and we're left with?
V minus 3. I mean, 4.
Yeah, v minus 4. Great. Now, we're almost done. What we have is 2 brackets that are the same, so that kind of comes out. It's a common factor in itself. And then the second bracket we're going to make is just of these two. Okay? You should have done something like this before. So you have v minus 4. And then the second bracket left over is v
+3.
plus 3, which is exactly what you'd said before. We just have to do it this way in case this was a different term. So now we're done the second one. We've now factored the green guy. It's v minus 4 and v plus 3.
Oh, I did that right here.
Yeah. Then we still got two more to do. 4v squared minus 16, which is in blue. Now this one's a little harder. 4v squared minus 16. What's the first step of factoring always?
Common.
What can we take out that's common?
4.
4. So then we're left with v squared minus 4. Now, when you have two terms, like a binomial here, there's one style of factoring that may work, and it's called a difference of squares. In order for it to work, we have to have a subtraction sign, which we do have, and we have to be able to square root the first and the last term and get a whole number, essentially. Can I square root the first and last term and get even whole numbers for answers? For instance, what would the square root of x squared be? Do you know?
No.
Okay, well, it'll just be x, because x times x is x squared. In this case, it's a v, so we change the letter to a v. Okay? So the square root of v squared is v. And what would the square root of 4 be? 2. Okay? So what that means is a difference of squares is factored this way. We have two brackets. The square root of the first term, which is v, is the first term in both. The square root of the second term, which is 4, or in this case, the answer ends up being 2, is the second term in both, okay? And we put an addition sign in front of one and a negative sign in front of the other. And that's what they were kind of getting at there, okay? So we still have our common factor here. So that's the third one we factored. Done that in blue. And finally, the last one, 2v plus 4. Okay, that's the last one we're going to do. 2v plus 4. Very simple. I'm going to take it out quick. We can take 2 out of this. So we're left with v plus 2. So let's rewrite everything we have. We'll probably have to zoom out a bit. 25, see what we got here. Okay, so the yellow was our top left. So we have 3 times v minus 4. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this all on one line here. Because it's multiplication, when you multiply fractions, you technically multiply the top by the top and the bottom by the bottom, so it all becomes 1. Okay, so that was the yellow. Next is the blue. So that was our answer for the blue. We're going to move that over also. So the blue I'm going to write here. It was 4v plus 2, v minus 2. Okay? All of these are being multiplied together. On the bottom, our green, we had v minus 4, v plus 3. And finally, in the purple, we had 2v plus 2. I'll zoom back in again. Okay, so what that means for us is, though it looks a bit sloppy, what we're going to do is we're going to move all the coefficients to the front and brackets at the back, okay? So the 4 is going to come to the front. So I have 3 times 4 times v minus 4 times v plus 2 times v minus 2. We've got a whole lot of factors here, okay? And then the other coefficient is 2 times v minus 4, v plus 3. Now, before we simplify, we have to state restrictions. To state restrictions, we've got to take these bottom guys, right? And set each of the brackets equal to 0. Well, we know 2 doesn't equal 0. It doesn't have a variable, so we don't have to set it equal to 0. The 4, or v minus 4, we set it equal to 0.
So that's going to be positive 3.
That's
I mean
right.
4, right?
Yeah. So it can equal 0, in which case v cannot equal positive 4. And what about the other one, v plus 3?
Cannot equal negative 3.
Good. So our two restrictions are v cannot be 4. Well, I wrote 4 again. And v cannot be negative 3. Good. So we got our two restrictions. Now that we've done that, let's reduce some stuff. Okay? We have 3 here. What is 3 times 4 technically? 12. And what would 12 divided by 2 be? So we did those together, divided by 6. So we have a 6 on top. Okay? V minus 4 and v minus 4. Cancel. And, well, we can't really cancel anything else out. So we have 6, v plus 2, v minus 4. No, sorry, minus 2. This 3 times 4 divided by 2 became our 6. Are you okay with that? So the coefficients all disappeared. And the only thing we have on the bottom is v plus 3. So that would be our simplified version of this, okay? So quite a bit of work, because we had to factor all of those to get an answer in this case, okay?